Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spotlight on Laurel, Her History and Her People. This is an educational and hopefully entertaining series that we're doing in association with Noah White, the video guy. We're honored today to have the Reverend Charlie Helton, and I say that with all the honor and dignity that one can muster. When you're called to the ministry, when you surrender to that, obviously you become a minister, but I personally feel the title Reverend is earned, and I feel that this gentleman has earned that well. Brother Helton, it's great to see you today.
Nice to meet you.
So let's talk first about those early years. You were born in the 1920s, right?
1929.
1929. So that makes you almost 90 years old.
Almost.
Well, you're very young looking.
Well,
90
thank
years
you.
old.
Thank you.
But compared to today now, and we talked off mic and camera earlier about the way things have evolved just behind us here with the inception of 192 bypass here. But let's talk about the early years of your life and how times have changed since then. The things compared to today, times in the late 1920s, 30s, 40s, the Depression era, World War II, you were around when all that was going on.
I was.
Yeah. So your early years of your life.
Well, there's no comparison from then till now. It's just like another world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say it is.
Yeah.
So, and you were born in Harlan County, is that correct?
I was born up on the Smith Road there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of coal mining took place then.
A lot of coal mining.
It still does in that area.
Well, right now it's about gone.
Yeah. So do you ever go back to Harlan County very often?
I do. As a matter of fact, I was there yesterday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Harlan County is to me, it's one of the most scenic, most beautiful counties in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah,
It's
pretty.
It's really not neat how the mountains roll off into the town and things like that. But so you mined coal.
I did.
That's what you did.
I did.
Now are you a veteran? World War II?
No, I wasn't in the service.
Okay. But World War II was obviously going on
as
you were growing up in the Depression. Times then, as you said, were much different. Tell us something about those times.
Well, they were simple. People, they wasn't in a hurry like they are now. It wasn't fast lane living, and it was more calm. It was just a good time to live.
People had to work hard.
They worked hard.
And they had to make it.
They did.
Survive. It was survival.
They did.
Yes.
Yeah, it was long days and short nights.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now, those early years, 1920s and all that, tell us about your parents and your siblings.
Well, my father, he came from McQuarrie County, and he migrated to Harlan to work in the mines.
Okay.
My mother was a native of Harlan County. She was a Spurlock.
Okay, and in those days, Harlan County was the booming county in Kentucky.
It was.
Yeah. That's why people went there to make money in the coal mines.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
That's how your dad went there to make money, and he met your mother.
Right.
Yeah.
See, Harlan had two bus lines back then, and they run on one run on the hour and the other one run on the half hour.
Is that right? Yeah.
And by the time that one of those buses got to Crummie's Creek, that's about 2 miles above Kaywood, and got back down to Kaywood, where we always caught the bus.
Yeah.
They were standing up.
Is that right?
Because nobody hardly had a car back in those days.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody rode the bus.
Yeah. So that's a luxury that we take for granted these days.
It is.
Having an automobile. Now, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Okay, were you in the middle of them, or
no? I was the oldest.
Oldest one.
Yeah.
So, are they still alive today?
No, sir.
You're the last one.
I'm the last one.
Last surviving.
Yeah.
Wow, of your generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what brought you now to Laurel County? Let's focus on Laurel County.
Well, sir, I was a coal miner and a preacher.
Mm-hmm. You were called to the ministry at an early age.
I was.
Okay.
I was, and the coal business got to getting bad. And a lot of my men that went to my church went to Western Kentucky to work.
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't no income. I was telling somebody one day that my church was doing good till that trouble came, the labor trouble,
Mm-hmm.
and my church would only take me up an offering on Sunday morning, and it done well to be $2.50.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So in those days too, I mean, that's when the labor unions and things, that's when the trouble started.
That's
there
right.
in Harlan. That was the 1960s. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That went right on through the 70s.
It did.
all that. But
It did.
but we're in the mid 1960s here in Harlan
Yeah.
County, and wow, $2.50 in the offering plate
For a
Yeah.
week.
for a week.
That was
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had to do something
Well, you had
to
to.
survive, as we talked about survival.
Yeah.
And well, what attracted you to Laurel County? Then?
Well, sir, like I said, the economy went down, things got tough, and I had an opportunity to come to East Bernstead. I didn't even know where East Bernstead was, you know.
Yeah.
The state overseer asked me if I'd like to come to East Bernstead, and I told I didn't have no other choice,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So I accepted that.
And when you say state overseer, this is Church of God.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I accepted that and went to, I was supposed to go down there and preach the next Sunday morning for them. That was in March 1966. It was snowing. You know how it is in March.
Oh yeah.
And I got down to where you turn off there at East Bernstead, and it was snowing so hard I missed that turn
Uh-huh.
and went all the way to Mount Vernon. And I got out and I asked somebody, I said, "Can you tell me where East Bernstead is?" They said, "Yeah, about 25 miles back up this way." So I got there and they were leaving.
Well, yeah, I was going to say church was over.
They were
Service
coming
was
out,
over.
you know. So I told them, I said, "Well, folks, I'm sorry, but I said, Lord willing, I'll be here tonight." So I preached for them that night, and actually I had pneumonia.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had pneumonia, but I could cough, and it just felt like he's cutting my lungs with a knife, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so I preached for them that night, and they wanted me to come. So I went back to Harlan and went to the doctor every day till time to come to move,
Yeah.
and got that shot, you know.
Yeah.
And I've been in East Bernstead practically ever since.
It's amazing. You said you didn't know anything about East Bernstead or where it even was.
I didn't know where it was.
And now you're a household name there. I mean, you know,
I tell you
made
what.
your mark.
I tell you what it was. It's kind of like when God called Abraham. Said, "Abraham, I want you to get up out of this your country and,
Yes.
and go to a land that I'll show thee."
That's a good comparison.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Yeah. So now you're in Laurel County, and you pastored at East Bernstead Church of God for how many years?
I pastored that church 28 years.
28 years. Wow, that's a long time to pastor a church,
Yeah.
especially this day and time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I can remember my childhood. Of course, my grandparents were friends of your all's ever since I can remember. I was born in 1965.
Yeah.
So around the time you came around, that's where my knowledge of church involved dinners on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And Sundays singing, preaching. Sometimes my grandfather, we call him Pata, but he'd have us in church all day,
Yeah.
you know. And that was just what we did on Sunday.
Yeah, I
You know,
remember.
and then they lived it through the week too. you
Yeah,
know.
I remember
So,
him and his wife real well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were. They loved you.
Yeah.
And so, but you know, nowadays people. You talked earlier about things were slower then, slower pace. People don't take. And when I was a kid, I didn't always want to go to church all day on Sunday. Now I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
You know, but I wouldn't take anything for what that instilled in me. Now,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
Now I think back about those times, and those were good times for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, those were really, people don't do that anymore.
No.
They're too
No.
busy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and the technology generation obviously is here now. It's amazing what technology does, but things that I think we were designed or meant to slow us back down a little bit and do things for us have made us just pack more into our lives and schedules.
Yeah.
It's not really slowed us down at all. Technology probably has sped us up
Yeah.
as human beings.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, those were also East Brunswick Church of God as a thriving church. Those were really good years for that church. Your years there.
Yeah.
You know, you all. I think you built a new church, didn't you?
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Parsonage. You had a new church in Parsonage there.
Yeah.
So those were really good years for East Brunswick Church of God. Yeah. Now you've been. You're still pastoring.
They call me pastor. They call me. Yeah.
At 89 years old.
Yeah.
Now you're at the River of Life.
Yeah.
In East Bernstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there now approximately 17 years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't see any signs of you slowing down.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good though, buddy. That's really good. Well, let's talk now about your children and your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, and have you got any great grandchildren?
I'd have to stop and think about that.
Yeah, okay. But your kids, go through them and let's talk a little bit, because they're in the ministry too. That's a very interesting story there in itself.
My firstborn was Bob. You know him. Really
I know
well.
Bob. Yeah.
Of course.
Unfortunately, I know. Yeah.
Of course, you know, he's been at Old Union 30 odd years now. You know, and doing a good work there.
Absolutely. Yeah. He used to the side story to that. He was our meat cutter.
Yeah.
We grew up where we're sitting here. This is where I grew up in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And City Grocery up there was, and he was before he was. I knew him as a preacher. He was our butcher. Yeah. So, but now he's been, as you said, Old Union for 30-something years.
Yeah. Which
is a legacy in itself.
It is.
It really is.
It is.
Does a great job there, great work there, and he's just a well-known Pentecostal ministry. We grew up in Pentecost too, so I think you feel a kinship with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
I know. It's just going to be one church in heaven, but we feel a kinship.
Well, that's right. Yeah,
you do. And so Bob is pastor of Old Union, and he's got 3 kids, and they've got kids of their own.
Yeah.
We spoke off camera about Ian. We became buddies.
Oh yeah.
And good boy.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's a good boy. And then Robbie and stuff. We just go way back, you know, and Kelly and the girls too. I don't want to. So, but you've got a lot to be proud of there. Yeah, you certainly have. Yeah. So
we had 5 children.
Okay. So Bob was the first. Let's go
first.
through them here.
Jean was the.
I remember Jean used to babysit for me.
Yeah. And
love Jean. I love her.
Jean has been gone now for close to 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was wondering how long it had been. Yeah. What a sweet lady.
Yeah, she was.
Man. Yeah, Jean.
And then Jimmy, you know him.
I know Jim.
Everybody knows him.
Yeah,
you know?
I know Jimmy Helton. Yes.
He's still around, you know. And, Yeah, but
he's still a rascal.
Yeah. And Charlie Jr., he's still around. You know, he lives out here on the Pine Top Road.
Okay.
Yeah. And he worked at Griffin Pie for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's, I guess you call it semi-retired.
Yeah.
But he still works doing repair work on houses and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got arthritis pretty bad in his knees, in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Suzanne, you know her.
The baby.
You know. Yeah, she's the baby. And she's also in the ministry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
she supports our radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her husband attends our church when they're there.
Yeah, she ministers
but
a lot.
Most of the time they're on the road, you know, they're out there gone somewhere.
Yeah. Kenny Woodruff is.
Yeah.
I served with him on the school board at East Brunswick for a few years. Yeah. So and they've got Crystal, and she's in the ministry.
Crystal is in the ministry, yeah.
And Reuben, and they're in we're in Texas, they're in Florida now.
They're in Naples, Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got close family in Florida too, and that's too far away, man. Kills me.
Yeah, it's a long way.
I always joke them. I said, "You're younger than me. Bring those babies up here. I want to see them." But
there you go.
Generally, I have to go to them, which is fine too.
Yeah.
You know? But I understand what that's like for Suzanne and Kenny.
Yeah.
That's a sacrifice that you make when you're called and the kids are called.
It is. You know, the years slips up on you, buddy.
I have noticed that. So
yeah.
I have noticed that.
It don't seem possible.
Yeah.
for me to be 89.
Yeah.
It don't.
Yeah. You've always carried yourself in a very elegant manner, sir. You know, and I respect you for that.
See, I was a coal miner for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard work, man.
That
That'll
was-
teach you the value of $1 too.
When I worked in the coal mines, it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was called pick and shovel days. Yeah, it wasn't no automated.
Well, how did it, now? I worked for Interstate Coal for a number of years early on.
Yeah.
You know, and when they were over here, and the tipple was over here, and I am familiar with some of the new technology, and some of it even. I've been gone from there 20-something years, but it's even advanced now. But in those days, I couldn't imagine the pick and shovel days from what I saw.
No.
We had strip jobs and deep mines, so I saw both ends of it. But I can't imagine from my view what that would have been like.
People that I worked with, and then when I left the mines and went full time into the ministry, they tell me you wouldn't know coal mining.
Yeah, it's really
altogether different.
The machinery is
Altogether.
amazing. Really.
Yeah, altogether.
Especially
different.
the deep mine machinery.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys did all that these machines do though, with just your hands and your back.
And most of the
What
time
God gave you.
most of the time on your knees.
On your knees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and those low seams and stuff. Yeah. That'll teach you what hard work means.
Yeah.
You know.
When you work in 20-inch coal,
Mm,
27-inch,
I couldn't imagine that.
well, it's really tough.
And you did that for 20-something years.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So the Lord called you to the ministry at what age?
I would say probably I was in my early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were digging coal during the week, and Sunday you were preaching at church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were a busy fellow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then raising 5 kids.
Yeah.
You know, and that blows people's minds today because we've spoiled ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And people say, I'm a hard worker, but I don't think I could lay on my back and dig coal out of a 20-inch seam and raise 5 kids and preach on Sunday. That's mind-boggling for my generation.
Yeah. See, in that early mining, there wasn't no electricity in that mines. It was all manual, handwork. You drilled the coal with a breast auger, they called it.
Yeah.
I mean, cranking it with your hands like that. Yeah.
Wow. And it was dangerous too.
It was.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It was.
The top, you had to worry about the top.
You did.
You had to worry about explosions, you know, and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
your air.
Yeah, your air. You know, you had to make sure that the air was right.
Yeah.
You know.
And a lot of times it wasn't.
Yeah, that's right. And you really had no way of knowing until it was too late. You know.
No.
You smell the fumes and then that's it. You know. That's the way a lot of people have perished over the years. You know.
Yeah.
So it's it's a different deal now. That's for sure. So let's talk now about, you talked about your children, some of the folks that you met along your journey. I know we've talked about Harlan County and the mines, but when you got here, you were in a new world.
I was.
And you didn't know any.
No,
I
didn't
you didn't know
know
anything about East Princess. You didn't know anyone.
I didn't know nobody.
You got to know your church members.
Yeah.
And then there were other ministers, I assume,
I did.
that helped kind of mentor you and befriended you and your family and guided you along the way.
Uh-huh.
Do any of them come to mind? Let's talk about some of those folks.
Well, when we first come to East Bernstead, one of the first ministers that I got acquainted with was John Newton.
Okay.
Did you ever know?
No, I've heard of him though. I've heard my grandfather.
John was a retired minister at that time, but he was still active.
Mm-hmm.
He was taking care of a little church over in Somerset, out from Somerset, called Saline.
Okay.
And he'd go over there and preach on the weekend, and he'd come back over here. He lived at Dog Patch at that time.
Oh, okay.
That's old Dog Patch.
The old Dog Patch down on 25.
Yeah. I got acquainted with him, and he was a lot of help to me. He encouraged me.
Okay.
When I first
and
come,
you have to have that.
Yeah, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
When I first come there to East Bernstead, I came in March. And back then, the Church of God voted for pastor about every year or 2 years. I don't recall this exactly. And John asked me the question. I just got there. And the voting for pastor was coming up like in a month.
Yeah.
John said, Brother Helton, what do you think about it? What do you think about this vote coming up? I said, Brother Newton, it don't make a bit of difference. He said, you gonna make it.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said.
Well, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that was the best thing that you maybe ever did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I got acquainted with W.M. Bolin and
Mhm.
all them O.P. Charlie Tyree,
Oh yeah.
all them people around East Bernstein there.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Kay Williams.
Kay Williams,
Yeah.
Vic and Lee, and,
Yeah.
Jewel and all of them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And churches support churches.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be,
We'd have
especially in those days.
We'd have homecomings, and Vic and Jewel, and some of them would come over from Carmichael to our homecomings.
That's what I'm talking
We
about.
had fellowship.
That was my life when I was a young boy.
We had good fellowship.
It was good stuff. Yeah, good times.
There ain't much of that left.
People don't do that anymore.
No.
It gets so busy and hectic, and I've told my wife before, I said, sometimes it'd be nice just to, go to an old country church on Sunday, and it don't matter if they sing a little bit off key or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, back in those days, I would rather have been outside riding my dirt bike or something like that,
Yeah.
But these days, I think back, and as I said, what that instills in a person is invaluable.
Yeah. You're right.
It stays.
Yeah.
It sticks.
Yeah.
It really does. So you're a very spry, almost 90-year-old gentleman.
Yeah.
You really are. And one of these days, you're going to leave behind a great legacy of ministry, because not only you, but your children as well.
Yeah.
And I can think of nothing better than
No, there ain't nothing no better than that.
That's a good life.
Yeah, it's a good life.
Yeah, it is.
It is.